Hey, everybody. Welcome to How to Be a Texan. Hey, happy Veterans Day, Kevin and Andrew. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
All
Good.
right.
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day. That's what we're talking about today.
That's
about
awesome.
Vets in Texas, baby.
When you said vets, I thought you were talking about veterinarians. But I'm so much more excited to talk about our veterans because veterans are amazing.
Amazing. Thank you, veterans.
Veterinarians are amazing too.
No.
They are, but not quite.
Not quite as. Yeah.
I mean,
Bunch of poop smears.
sticking your arm up Doc's rear
Nice.
is not nearly as exciting as
Somebody's
you know,
defending freedom, baby.
defending freedom. Yeah,
Freedom.
right. That's right.
I enjoy my freedom based on the work that our veterans have done.
I do too, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, men and women and children, not children. Thank you, men and women who have served our country.
We could keep doing this for the next 45 minutes.
So whether you listen to this on Veterans Day or not, it doesn't matter. Texas has a ton of veterans in it. But the thing is, I thought I would ask you, do you know how many wars Texas has participated in?
Let me hide these notes so that I don't count them. That Texas has been involved in before being in the U.S. or just after being in the U.S.?
I was going to include them all.
Yeah.
I was going to include them all.
There's got to be...
Well, we got Six Flags, remember? We got Six Flags over Texas.
But there's got to be at least 10 or 12
There's 10 or 12.
wars,
There's
right?
10 or 12 wars.
Yeah.
And a crap ton of conflicts.
Lots of battles. you know?
Lots of battles.
Yeah.
That's how we got that come and get it flag.
Yeah.
Battle of Goliad.
Yeah.
Come and get my one cannon.
Then
There's one cannon.
Yeah. And then the Alamo.
Alamo.
David Crocker.
It's Betty Crocker.
yeah, Betty Crocker.
Yeah. So Texas itself has been in a ton of battles and wars, but then once Texas was admitted to the United States, then of course we've participated in all of the
We've
major...
pretty much carried them. It's getting old.
Texans have carried the rest.
Yeah.
I don't know
Tired
about
of carrying
that.
these slackers.
I don't know. I think it was a team effort. I'm going to go with team effort. Now, I will say, the Civil War, we had people in Texas that were fully divided. Did you know that? We
no.
did.
I'm not surprised though, but no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had people that were Union enthusiasts as well as Confederate enthusiasts. So we had real, because I'm doing my research on Texas Rangers, and some of the Texas Rangers were Union encouragers, and therefore they were like, dude, I'm not going to fight for the Confederacy. I'm just going to go out and protect the frontier and fight off the Indians. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is.
Regardless, so we had all the stuff with Santa Ana. I mean, we've talked about Santa Ana many, many times.
Yep.
So Texas became the Republic of Texas after the battle with Mexico and Spain. But then Spain and France were all involved, and the Louisiana Act and all that kind of stuff was in there. There weren't really any battles. These were just more political things that moved the flags around over Texas until it became the Republic of Texas. And then once Texas got into the U.S., then bingo, game on. We were in on all the major battles of the U.S. And so let's think about that. The major battle, and there's a crap ton of little battles, but the major battles were the Civil War, the Mexican-American War of 1846 to 1848 were part of that. Then the big boys, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and then Desert Storm 1 and 2.
So here's a trivia question for you. Who do you think was the most famous person to, not necessarily a Texan, but just the most famous person to serve on a military base in Texas?
Probably Elvis.
You nailed it.
It's got to be Elvis.
He was at Fort Hood.
And that's a guess. That's just a guess.
You
'cause
nailed it.
I think Elvis came through. Remember, he had a highly publicized, military career. I mean, he was kind of rising, and he was doing all these, bongo movies and goofy stuff. And
then he left to serve his country.
Yeah.
And he did his basic training at Fort Hood.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Fort Hood's down in Killeen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's,
that's pretty cool.
Massive base.
Yeah.
And we've got a crap ton of bases here in Texas.
Yeah.
Which is great. We got Air Force bases, we got Army bases, we got Navy. Do we have Navy bases?
I don't know.
down at the coast?
Yeah, I don't know.
Crap.
I
don't
bet we
know.
have
Maybe
to.
Corpus Christi.
Yeah,
I feel like
there's got to be.
didn't we go on like some battleship or something down there?
That was in Alabama.
Well, and then you got
Yeah.
the Lexington that's docked. Remember, it's haunted at Corpus. The
Oh,
USS
yeah.
Lexington.
That's right.
So, get
Oh,
haunted.
yeah, where
stuff.
like the ghosts will like
Take him on a tour.
yeah.
Show you how all the hydraulics work down below. Isn't it great? Anyway, regardless. So, hey, thank you, veterans. So, but Texas has been through a lot of battles, and it's been a huge contributor to that. So,
You know who else was a veteran? And let me see. He wasn't born in Texas, right?
there's a lot of Tennesseans that came to Texas.
But this guy is associated with Texas for sure. Roger Staubach. Remember his story?
Roger Dodger.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this guy plays college football, and he gets drafted number 1 by the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And he says, "Okay, y'all hold on a few years. I'm gonna go into and serve my country."
That's right.
So he goes over and serves a full 4 years.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Okay, now I'll come play football."
yeah, I'm playing some football now.
How cool is that?
So cool.
Bob Wills served.
Bob Wills was a veteran.
Yeah, but he got discharged because he drank heavily and it
Uh-oh.
caused disciplinary.
Are you
issues.
serious?
Yeah. So he was discharged.
Well, he
And
could
then
play
went
that-
back to
Man, he could play
playing
that
that
fiddle.
yeah.
He could play that fiddle, and then he was kind of a yodeler. Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah, he would do that.
Oh, that's right.
I love that.
That's
I love
right.
that. So
he was from he was born in Texas.
Yeah.
Texas. He was a native.
Bob
Yeah.
Wills and his Texas Playboys.
Yeah.
yeah, he must have been a playboy in the military. Okay, so a couple of things, just a couple of stats. So who do you think has the most vets alive in a state right now?
California, maybe.
Right. No, it's California. So they've got
Just
about
because they have such a huge population.
they got a huge population. And so this is dated. This is in 2014. So I'm sure I would think maybe they have a little bit less than this, but they got about 1.7 million. Texas is number 2 at about 1.5 million.
Texas is number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Florida number 3 at just under 1.5 million. So Texas and Florida are right there. And the thing is that our death rate of veterans right now, just because of age, is we're losing a lot of veterans basically every day. And the veterans that we're losing, of course, the greatest generation, the World War II vets, we're losing a ton of them. Just think about it. I mean, they're in their 90s now. And then our Vietnam vets, they are aging out too, and we're losing a ton of them because of older age. So, and then all of our Desert Storm and Afghanistan and Iraq guys and gals, they're for the most part still around, working, just active part of Texas living. So, which is cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. But as I did my research, there is some scary stuff here on like the number of contributions that were given, and I'm talking like veterans that gave their life for our freedom. And do you know what war caused the greatest number of death?
It's got to be World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many people died in World War II?
Was it maybe 400,000
From America, yes.
from the U.S. alone?
From the U.S., it was just over 400,000.
That is just nuts.
It is
and I'm
nuts.
just, I remember learning about that in school or something, but
Right.
that's
So-
crazy.
So when you think about it, what war, and this is U.S. specific, so think about it, there's going to be, I'd say 12 to 15% of all these numbers are Texans, and so just think about it, about 12 to 15% of all these numbers are Texans. And so what do you think is the number one war in U.S. history of the highest death toll?
I thought you just asked me that question.
I did, but I'm cheating a little bit here. The Civil War actually.
I was going to ask you about the
caused
Civil
more.
War. Yeah, because
The World War II, the correction there is that we lost in World War II, as a planet, we lost about 3% of our population. And it's amazing. Wow. There was, and I'm talking 80 to 100 million people at the low end
of World War II?
Of World War II. So think about 100 million people that we lost. And that was civilians and military. And so I just went and watched it. I told you about this one video I want you guys to watch. If you guys get a chance, go watch this. It's called, it's fallen.io. And if you look at that, it's on the History Channel. And it's this amazing video. And it basically goes into World War II casualties. And it's called The Fallen of World War II. And so if you Google that, and watch that. It's about an 18-minute video, and you're able to stop twice in there, and it has this thing where you can stop it and do this interactive thing on the graph, which is amazing, and it shows you kind of what origin of country we lost, the civilians, the military, etc. And you guys know that, I mean, I'm a huge reader of history, and World War II in particular is one of those things that I'm fascinated by.
Oh yeah. So the Civil War was 600 and some odd thousand.
Yeah. So
much higher than World War II.
Yeah. So if we talk about that now, the population of Texas during the Civil War was probably not that high. So I wouldn't say that we lost 12% of 655,000,
Yeah.
but we lost 655,000 people in America between the Union and the Confederacy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the second most deadly war, and that was World War II, where we lost about 405,399 people in that. And that was U.S. Pacific. And that's where we would have lost a good 12% to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So that says we had a ton of loss there. And then World War I, we lost 116,000. And then you go to Korea, 36,000. Vietnam, I mean, think about that. You think, oh, man, we had to lose more in Korea than we did Vietnam. No, we lost 58,209 people from the U.S. and Vietnam. Yeah. I mean, it was very, very high, the death toll there. And because Vietnam lasted for about 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that? You know why we got into Vietnam? It was during the Cold War.
That's what yeah.
And so North Vietnam was communist,
Mm-hmm.
and the French were aligned with the South Vietnamese. And so then we said, and so the threat of communism was there from really China, and Russia backed it. And so it was just this, we're going to get into it because we're allies with the French, and therefore we're going to help protect that. And so it lasted so long. And the living conditions that I was just reading about that. And then again, Joe, you remember my buddy Joey Raspani that I talked about? His dad was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam.
Ooh,
so he
wow,
would
that's
tell
intense.
us, he would tell us just, I remember as a kid, when you're like, 10 years old and you just are not paying attention, but you're just playing or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you're running by and Mr. Raspani he'd say, hey, we're just sitting out in the garage or something messing around. And he'd tell us some story about how he would fly in these Hueys and land and pick up some guys and then get out, and how it reminded him of something. I mean, it was just amazing, the stories that he would tell us, and we were just in passing, and we're like, oh, that's cool, Mr. Raspani. Can we go play again, When actually these were golden moments that he was sharing with us. Because, a lot of the veterans, they don't want to tell the stories of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I was grateful that he would be pretty open with us, because we just thought that was so cool that he was able to fly this cool helicopter. And there's a guy in Argyle, he's got a Huey, and he flies by every once in a while.
Oh, really? I hadn't seen that.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was doing Karis's wedding out in my front yard 4 years ago, and he was flying. They were doing flyovers with family, watching the wedding in his Huey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Crazy. And then there was a group of some Harley.
Did you know he was going to be flying around?
No, I didn't. We were like, I was like, come on, get out of there.
It's like, just land and come watch on the ground.
Yeah, we got plenty to eat. Come on, you can land in the pasture in the back. But, the Hueys are so loud. So
That's annoying, actually.
And then we had a group of Harley riders, and they came by too, and they stopped. And their Harleys, and I'm conducting the ceremony.
Doing over here?
It looks like that's a pretty wedding, and I was conducting the wedding. And then my bees showed up. Remember, I had to mask the bees so the bees didn't go eat all the fruit and stuff, and they came out anyway, and they got in everybody's hair.
I didn't know that part.
You didn't know that?
No.
So I had 3 interruptions in that wedding. So there you go. Anyway, but we've got a ton of contribution.
I'm going to tell you a couple of stories.
But the stories are over. That's it. Harley's, Huey, and bees in Karis's wedding. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So I would encourage you to watch that video on World War II. That is amazing. I love all that stuff, and that one is really moving.
So you stopped at Vietnam. What about like modern warfare with the technology that we have, how has that,
Well, we've had
affected the casualty rates?
I as a non-military person, I don't know the answer to that. Now, my brother has been in the Air Force his whole
But you know the
career.
numbers, right? I'm just curious, have the numbers gone down?
No, they've
or-
gone dramatically down. So when you think about the Gulf War and then Iraq and then Afghanistan, so in Iraq and the Gulf War, it says we lost 294 people. Iraq, we lost 4,497. Afghanistan, 2,216. So clearly, that's a lot less than Vietnam or Korea or certainly World War I or II. But still, we're losing people. I mean, I think the warfare has just gotten different. At least my observation of it is it's just very, very different. It's more like in Afghanistan and in Iraq, it feels like it's more guerrilla warfare where it's kind of house to house. And, it's not like the American Revolution where you line up, your regiment and stand there with your guns, and then the British walk up and you're 30 paces from each other and you just start shooting at each other. There's none of that.
Right.
It's all technology, and we're watching people, and then at the end of the day,
Seems like we do a lot more with drones and,
it seems like it's going that way.
Yeah.
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 But when I think it seems like when the hard stuff has to be done, you still have to send in
some people in.
these special forces teams or which are amazing. I mean, I love all that stuff.
Now, we did an episode recently on dogs, and I wish this would have happened before we did that episode. But did you hear about that dog that, helped take out the leader of ISIS?
No,
Really?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
So we just took out
I knew about the leader being taken out. I don't know about the dog.
the dog played a integral, is that a real word? Integral?
Integrative.
He was key to the whole mission.
Oh,
And this dog, highly trained military dog,
okay.
and he goes in and basically, like helps orchestrate the whole thing. He was all over the news, all over the internet.
What was he like giving signals and stuff? Or like, hey, go
Give me a
around?
second and I'll look it up because I didn't think to look this up.
And in response, Donald Trump said that he was, quote, a very good boy.
Oh.
But he
just
went to the
kidding.
White House and he.
I made that up.
No, I think he did say that. Actually.
Well, he is a very good
Say that in your Trump voice.
He is a very good boy.
See, that's exactly what it
Is that what Trump said?
He was a good boy.
I think
Oh,
he
you know
did
what?
say
Somebody
that.
at work said they said how to. Oh no! It was a guy. It was an older guy at church, and he's like, they're thinking about giving the dog a medal.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He got a medal.
Yeah, and I think the older gentleman, he was a vet, and I think he was upset about that. He's like, oh, how dare them give a medal to a dog over one of our men or women? And I didn't weigh in. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Well, I don't know if they, took it away from a man and gave it to a dog. I think they probably gave medals to everybody that
My-
got a
You
medal.
scum.
I don't think it
You
was.
can't outperform this dog.
Yeah, I don't think it was like, okay, we've only got one medal.
Well, I think that was kind of the thought from this guy. And my only point to this older gentleman was the dog's probably going to get the medal and then want to like chew on it. I mean, it probably is not terribly meaningful to the dog.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go.
Right.
They should have given the dog a medal, but it's like a special medal that can hold peanut butter inside, and then the dog can
Oh.
get peanut butter.
Yeah. Just on a
Yeah.
cake, like the Pavlovian thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey.
The dog did get wounded. I'm trying to figure out what he actually did
Oh.
in this mission.
Yeah. I need to read that because I didn't know the dog was that instrumental.
He was instrumental to the point where he was all over the news.
Okay.
Trump did say he's a beautiful dog, a talented dog.
Oh. Well, it's kind of
Beautiful dog, a talented dog. Or wait, did I get that backwards?
That was kind of
Very talented dog, beautiful dog, great dog,
okay.
best dog there is.
Okay. So one thing that I wanted to ask you, Kevin, is when we have wars, what do you think are the reasons that we have wars?
The dog's name was Conan.
As in Conan O'Brien? Mm-hmm. Okay. Why do you think we have wars, just in general?
Oh man, there's tons of different reasons why
Like
we have wars.
A reaction to an assassination or
That has happened.
the Ferdinand thing? Remember, that was
That
the
kinda kicked
start of
World
World War
War
One.
Right, yeah.
The Great War.
A lot of times it's
to combat
you know,
oppression.
Yeah, there may be a dictator that's abusing people, and we go in. Sometimes it's unfortunately economic, related to economic situations.
Money. That's right.
Terrorism. We
get attacked. Yeah.
we had to.
That's right.
Defend ourselves.
So
yeah, a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, so I got economic gain, territorial gain. That's not terribly compelling if you're just like a territorial gain. Like, I'm going to go put my life on the line. Now, people do it every day, but I'm just going to change the boundaries, and I'm going to go have a fight over the boundaries. But that's a reason. Then you've got religion. That's a huge reason, even today.
But if someone feels like their territory has been taken from them unjustly,
them's fighting words.
Yeah, then that's
right.
Yeah, that's going on in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Yeah,
it has been for decades and decades. Right. So religion is one. Obviously, we have that as a huge one on the national world scene now. Nationalism is another. Just I guess I don't know exactly what that means about nationalism.
Nationalism is what drove like Hitler and Nazism.
Oh,
basically,
like the Third Reich
imperialism.
Yeah. Okay. And then revenge. That was probably World War I, the Ferdinand assassination. So we're going to get revenge. The Civil War. Obviously, we had that in this country. Revolutionary War. We had that in this country as well. And then a defensive war. And that's interesting. I don't know what that means. What would be an example of a defensive war?
Maybe the War on Terror, right? We got bombed over here, so
or
maybe like that movie Independence Day, where the aliens were trying to come and attack and like change our planet.
Yeah, that's a much better example than the War on Terror.
I was just thinking that movie with Will Smith was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, War on Terror. We said, hey, you got us here,
right?
So rather than wait to be attacked again, we're going to go get you on
That's
your,
right.
So I think that's a quote unquote defensive war.
Wouldn't the Pacific Front of World War II be defensive?
Oh no.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor?
we were trying to defend. Yeah.
Well, the reason, again, back to history and why the U.S. wasn't in with our allies in 1941 was because of this independence and impartiality stance that the U.S. had. And that's when Japan truly brought us offsides with December 7th.
They pretty much made it not an option.
It's not an option.
We had to get in at that point.
That's right.
Yeah.
What about the War of 1812? Was that territorial? What was that war about again?
So
I can't remember.
Yeah.
That may have been.
I'll have to go back and research that. That's the French were involved, and that was a territorial thing with the French, British and us. So, yeah.
Sounds Canadian to me.
The Canadians were involved, and a ton of Indians.
Once you said French, British, then I was like, oh, that sounds Canadian. Sounds very Canadian.
Those Canadians. They drew us off. So, hey, but we weren't a part of that because Texas wasn't a part of the U.S. at that point.
True.
So, see, I just ignored the War of 1812 because if it's non-Texan, then I don't want to get Kevin upset with me. Right?
See, I didn't call him out. I don't call out my son.
History begins in 18...
My son can do nothing wrong.
18... When was Texas founded?
I don't know, 1850, 60, something like that.
Something like that.
I don't know. Well, we were the Republic, and it was like 1858, something like that, when we were the Republic of Texas, and then we started the process.
Well, we talked about that on our State Fair episode.
You mean along with Midget City?
Yeah, because that was the
all I remember is Midget City.
That was wasn't that the 100-year anniversary?
Welcome to Midget City.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like 18? If
this is ridiculous that we don't know. I think it's 1836.
FDR showed up, right?
1836.
Was it FDR?
That's Texas Independence Day was 1836.
Yeah.
From Santa Ana.
Oh, okay.
That's the Republic of Texas, and then it took a number of years before we annexed in.
You're right. I was thinking Texas Independence Day is what we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Pardon me for coughing at you. I had to
1845.
Blew some flu on you.
Republic did not last long.
Say, what was the date again?
1845.
That's when we came into the U.S.?
Blew flu all over this mic.
Tis the season. So
Here's Sammy laughing in the background of that one.
Oh, yeah.
Listen.
Blew flu all over this mic.
I got the laugh track going. But hey, let me again go back to Veterans Day and just say a hearty thank you, because we've got people, men and women, young men and women that have come in, joined the military of their own accord. We hadn't have a draft anytime lately, right? And these people have volunteered or joined the military on behalf of me and my family to preserve and do terrible things. They have to go and do terrible things.
Not you personally, Kyle.
They are doing it for me.
They woke up and said, Kyle Kirkpatrick and his family.
Well, representative. They're representing. And they're saying, well, that old guy, he can't do it. So I got to go preserve his freedom for he and his family.
Yeah, no, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Well, it's very emotional. It's important because these people
very important.
still do it, and they lay their lives on the line to. Now it's the age of terrorism. It's not like we're going to have, in that video that World War II, the losses of World War II, it shows the timeline since the end of World War II, and they call it what these economics people call it is the long peace, where we've had basically 50 years of peace because the top economies of the world are not fighting each other. And they even included Korea and Vietnam in there, as they kind of didn't count it because it's not the U.S. versus Russia or Russia versus Britain, or the top world powers have not engaged with each other in going on 50 years, all through the Cold War and now even beyond. Mm-hmm. It was just again, if you guys have a chance to go watch that video, I just thought, first of all, it was terribly humbling because of the massive losses, the losses that Russia had, China had, and certainly Germany. Mm-hmm. Now, we had losses over 400,000 people, again, in World War II. But the lengths that Stalin went to defeat and get out of Leningrad, the German advance, they killed millions, about 1.5 million Germans out of that. But there were probably 12 to 15 million Russians that died during that. Just that one advance over that 2-year period. It's just awful. So, again, I would encourage you to do that. But, war has changed. War has changed. Times have changed, and now we rely on intelligence. We rely on mobility and nimbleness. But still, we need incredibly smart men and women that are, again, putting their lives on the lines, and I'm just grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
As
I
a
agree
Texan.
with you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Completely agree.
And American. America. Keep America great. It's all good. Okay. Well, hey, happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day. Shout out to the veterans. Really appreciate everything y'all do for the country, all joking aside. It's
That's right.
Really amazing.
That's right.
I wish that we could just do more to take care of them after they serve,
Well, that's right. You know what? One thing that I forgot to mention is I was looking at this and all the benefits that are given to veterans. So once you join the military, and whether you've been in peacetime and you retire through peacetime, or you've actually been an active war veteran, there are some really cool benefits that our government provides, and including all the health care, the mental health care, because we have a ton of PTSD. We have a ton of mental issues, and I can only imagine, having gone through situations I can't even imagine, of the mental health needs that are out there. And that's, you don't want that to be taboo, but we've got a very, very high suicide rate for a lot of our military people that have endured a lot of bad things. And so the hope is that please reach out, to mental health providers, or even the helplines, or a friend or family or whatever, to avoid any of that. But then there's all these, like the GI Bill is still out there for college tuition, home loans, business loans. There's an amazing amount of things that are available to veterans, which I thought was just really cool as I researched that.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So, and then all these kind of cool burial benefits, and I don't know. I just like.
Have you been to a funeral for a veteran?
I have. I've been to several, and they're amazing. Just you say the pomp and circumstance. That's not it at all. It's a formal, dignified procedure that honors the person and their service to our country. So cool.
Yeah, my granddad was a veteran.
Yeah,
he passed away, and the funeral was really amazing at the graveside.
It was.
Yeah.
Because whatever branch of service they bring that branch out, and they go through.
They came out. They went through a flag ceremony. They played taps. It was very moving.
Terribly
I'd never seen
moving.
anything like it.
That's right. Yeah. No, I love that. All right. Well, hey, we appreciate that, and appreciate y'all's time today.
Adios. Look
All
us
right.
up on iTunes. Leave us a review. 5 stars.
And if you've got an Android device,
Text Kyle.
just
He's an
kidding.
expert
You
now.
can you can still listen. You can still listen. I just got into this with
You
a buddy
can.
of mine.
It's on Google Play.
I know
It's on Spotify.
It's there.
Also, it's out there.
All right. Take care.
And if you got an Android device, get you an iPhone.
Oh gosh, that's so wrong.